All right, so welcome back to the Dr. Des Show. So, this is a part of our special series where we are highlighting subcontracting the six-figure alumni. And if you are listening right now, as this episode airs, then subcontracting the six figures is open for enrollment. So, if you are interested in building your consulting business, then go ahead and sign up because enrollment will close soon and it will not open again until next year. So definitely would love to have you all in the cohort. But without further ado, we have Clishe Larke, and she is a project management consultant and founder of LC Business Services LLC. She's also was an alumni for our subcontracting to six figures course. So she did the course the last time it was offered, which was earlier this year in February. So we're gonna just talk about her journey today. So Cliche, do you mind just kind of telling us a little bit about your business and then also tell us a little bit about why you decided to join subcontracting to six figures?
Yeah, sure. So, Dr. Des, thank you for having me today. And I hope that my story will really evoke people to kind of move into that space and get to that position that they want to be in personally and professionally. Just wanting to say that. But so my business pretty much kind of evolved into focusing on like project management, process improvement, and strategic planning for small businesses and nonprofits. Right now, we're kind of evolving more to support like project management in regards to AI implementation and automation for workflows, because of course, everyone knows that's where we're going.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can I help you slowly introduce yourself to AI and automation? And matter of fact, let's implement some of those within your business processes,
Mhm.
just to make it effective and efficient. So that's what I currently do now. As far as joining the subcontracting to six figures, it was by random actually. So I didn't know I was a subcontractor until a peer of mine, who is my friend, kind of introduced me into the space. I was a freelancer
Uh,
coming out of education, didn't know what I wanted to do. And I just started freelancing as a project coordinator and didn't realize I was subcontracting, because you really don't know.
mhm.
And she gave me some really good advice. And she was just like, well, have you thought about starting a business? And I was like, no, I'm just here, just making some money. And she was like, no, you really should start a business and start subcontracting. And so she kind of introduced that to me and then started introducing me to RFPs. I didn't know what they were. Like,
Yeah.
I was a teacher, I was an educator. I wasn't really in corporate like that, procurement, none of that. So once she kind of introduced it to me, a lot of the RFPs she was sending me came from your public health club. And
Mhm.
so I was like, oh, she has some real good stuff on here. And I liked the community, even though I do not have a public health background. I
Mhm.
love the community of all of the people in the group and like just sharing experiences and sharing information. And I was like, you know what, let me sign up for this membership and, kind of see what happens with this. And so once I kind of started seeing like the type of RFPs that were coming in, the type of opportunities, being able to reach out and partner with other people.
Mhm.
I wanted to have a better understanding of what it meant to be a subcontractor. So that's why I took the course.
Nice. I love that. And I think, that's one of the major things when I started the club. I was like, I want people to be able to collaborate and come together to make money. Like, we can come together to go to brunch and do all these things. Like,
Mhm.
let's come together to make some money and to just build each other up. And I think too, it's quite a few people that are in the club that are applying to the contracts that are non-public health. They have non-public health backgrounds. And I love that because it speaks to how diverse the field of public health is. Like it
Mhm.
touches on so many different things and it's relevant in so many different areas. Like you said earlier, like project management, process improvement, like AI, like all of that can fit under public health and it can fit under education. It can fit under so many different areas. So it's not just exclusive to, public health, even though that is, of course, the main focus. So once you kind of made that decision to take the subcontracting to six figures course, what do you feel like, what were you kind of hoping to achieve once you joined? I know you said like you wanted to really kind of establish as a business, but was there any other thing that you were kind of hoping to achieve?
I think for me, I'm very much type A personality. So I was like, okay, let me take this course to make sure my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed. Because if
Hmm.
I jump off the porch, I want to make sure all my credentials are correct.
Oh
so
yeah.
I think with the course, it really helped me just ensure that I had everything in order from that aspect. Not only that, it gave me the structure and the confidence I needed to actually write the proposals, because that is a lot within itself, because
Hmm.
you can question your ability to do the work, and I like the segments when you helped us transfer those skills and that experience from like working in corporate America into developing the proposal, because you
Hmm.
don't necessarily automatically think like, okay, well, this thing I did at my job was an actual project. And how do I translate that into the
Hmm.
proposal to show them that I am capable of doing the work? Whereas a lot of people, they already have the experience of working with other companies and they already have the past experience or references. And so it gave me the ability to really translate that into my proposals. And so I had received a lot of information that kind of helped me create a structure and a foundation and a process of just even writing the proposals.
Nice. I love that. And I think that's one of the major things. I think we have all the skills, but it's just a matter of how we frame them, how we communicate them with potential clients, that makes it work, that helps us to land the contracts. So I know that you had mentioned in a few questions that I sent beforehand, you had mentioned that you were able to secure your first contract and collaborate with some members in the club. Do you want to kind of share your experience on that?
I did. So, for all of those out there, do not feel defeated, because I can tell you I've submitted a good 30, 40 proposals. And the one that I actually won, I didn't even really think second. I didn't even have second thoughts about it. I was just like, whatever. They're asking for this. Let me just turn this in. And I just submitted and didn't think anything of it. And then 4 weeks later, it was like, oh, we're awarding the contract to you. And I had to read the email twice because I was like, wait, what? Like, let me go back and see what I sent in, because I just did not think about it. And it just so happened one of the individuals that's working with me on the project I met through the public health club. He has a background in monitoring and evaluation, and that's what was needed for the project. And so I reached out to him while ago about collaborating in with some other people. So we've been putting out proposals for a while now, and then it's just that one we lucked up and ended up winning.
Nice. I love that. Like, and I feel like, I've heard that so many times about people just, collaborating. And one thing that you mentioned, like you said, you had applied to like 30 or 40. I feel like, a lot of people get discouraged, like if they apply to that first one and they get a no. But like I always tell people, it only takes one yes. It only takes that one yes to get things going, to kickstart things, to bring in some additional money. It only takes that one yes. So, how are you able to, I know like in the club, like we kind of create that environment so you can really partner with people and reach out to people. So, and I know you had identified that you needed like that evaluation and monitoring services that he had. So how were you able to kind of just like approach him? Like, did you message him in the club, or like what was that like?
Oh, I messaged because when you go in and look at people's profiles, you can see like
Mm-hmm.
if they fill it out, like what backgrounds they have. And I was just like, oh, he has what I need. Let me reach out. And it was just as simple as that. And I've met some other individuals too that I collaborate with. And it was just really just reaching out through direct message and people responding.
I love that. And that's why I'm like, y'all fill out y'all profiles in the club because people are
Mhm.
looking like, and it's so many people. I always tell people like, and it's so many people that are in the club and they're only there for the RFP list. That is the only
Mhm.
reason. They're like, I ain't coming to no workshops. I'm just there for this list. But
Mhm.
they're also looking at other people to look who they can partner with and stuff like that. And they're private messaging them. And these things are going on and they're happening. But I think too, like, you got to be able to put yourself out there and fill out your profile and keep going and keep putting yourself out there. But can you tell us a little bit more about like what services the contract was for?
Everything that I do. So basically, it's a contract with the City of Lansing, Michigan. It's a nonprofit.
Um,
So they are needing support with documentation and for their project management framework. They want me to help develop a project management framework that they can use across all of the programs and projects.
mm,
And then he is going to come in and develop the monitoring and evaluation portion of it, which crazy enough led to another opportunity that they reached out to me about. And I didn't even realize it was out there until they emailed me and said, hey, we have this one out here too, if you want to go after that. And I'm like, okay, this is how it works.
mhm. Oh
So,
yeah, like those relationships are so key. That's why I'm like always stay in touch with people. And I've had situations for me where like, I've been rejected from an RFP, but they literally will reach out like months later and say, "Hey, we have this and we really liked your application. Are you
mhm,
interested?" And it was literally as simple as that. Like no process, like, "Are you interested?" Because I had applied before and I put my name in the ring. But like if you give up after you submitted 5, you submitted 10, like if you give up on it, it's never going to happen. But if you
right.
keep going, you build those reps, you get those reps in, and then you like, you get better over time. And then you keep going. And once you get that first one, it gets a lot easier. Like, and it's not like, it's not like completely easy, but it gets a lot, you get momentum. And as that
Mhm,
momentum starts to build up and you start like, okay, like I know I can do this. Now I have this track record. I can even put that experience on my, in my portfolio and then all these things. So and it just keeps going. So I think that, that's amazing. That's so amazing. And
thank
so
you.
yeah, and so now I guess now what are you thinking for your business as far as like where your business is going, how you're going to continue like leveraging resources like in the club and in the course and things like that.
So, one thing that I do like right now that I saw, I haven't been in there a while because I've been busy, and I was like, let me go back in.
You've been
Um,
working on these contracts.
just staying busy. Um, Regional, like there's a group I'm in Houston, Texas. So
Mhm.
I got a message about joining the group in Houston, Texas, so we can kind of do meetups and collaborate with each other, which I love because I'm all for partnership. So I love that now we have that opportunity to like reach out and work with people locally. I love that.
Mhm.
Um, as far as my business, I'm going through a rebrand so people can truly understand what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And I want to work with small businesses and organizations, nonprofits, really getting them from good to great. And what that looks like is, doing the project management, but through like AI implementation and adoption and building out those automations, which crazy enough, now that the Department of Education is doubling down on AI adoption and things like that, it's going to open up so many other doors.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Like, people have been saying, and I mentioned this on another episode that, they're wondering like, is this the best time to be a consultant right now with everything that's going on? I'm like, this is no time like any other to be a
Mhm.
consultant because it's not that there's no money out there, it's just that money is redirected now. And we
Mhm.
have to kind of follow the money
Got to
to
pivot.
understand, yeah, be able to pivot, be able to follow the money. And because we have so many skills, we can easily like follow the money, see where it's going. And if we're thinking about like one of the major things, what I teach is subcontracting. So essentially if let's say CDC gets this money and they contract with like another like a nonprofit, then through that nonprofit they may put out some requests for proposals to get some consultants
Mhm.
in to help do this work. So now this money, the money is continuing to flow even though they let go of staff. work still has to get done. So they're going to be hiring consultants. State departments of health, they are getting fundings. Their preventative health and health services block grant is coming down the line, right? That is like being awarded probably like, if not September, October, or whatever. But that's millions of dollars of funding that is coming through. They need people that are gonna do this work. And me coming from, I have a background of working in state departments of health, knowing that once we get this money, all we do is contract it out. Like, because in, where I work, like, we're in the state office, so we're like in the office. We need to pay people to be boots on the ground, to do other things that we need them to do and stuff like that. And then a lot of times we're short staffed. And a lot of times what happens too with their budgeting is that they have a set number that they can actually allocate to salary. And then after they hit that cap on how much they allocated to salary, they can't just, it's not as easy as just saying, oh, we got this extra money over here, let's add it to people's salaries. That's why people don't get raises like that. It's a whole process. So what they're going to do is they're going to contract those dollars out. A lot of companies I've seen do that like towards the end of their fiscal year when they realize, oh man, we got all this money and we didn't spend it. We don't want to give it back to our funder because that shows them that we didn't use their money and that they can give they may be able to give us less money at the end of the year. We don't want less money. So let's see what we can do. Let's dang, do we need a strategic plan? Do we need a
Yep.
we need, do we need an evaluation? Like, do we need a marketing campaign? Like, those are things that happen all the time. And a lot of times, like, it's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know. So just like
Mhm.
how you said, like, once you landed that first contract, they reached back out. Like, it's who you know. Like once you get in that system and you start knowing them, like then you start thinking about referrals. I know in the course, like we have a whole section on talking about, getting client referrals. And I share like my survey and how I, collect my client referrals and things like that. So those things are big strategies and just continuing to build it up. And so let me ask you this. I know that you were saying earlier that you started as a freelancer. So and then kind of developed it into like, your business that you have today and you're going through this rebrand. So basically with you kind of starting as a freelancer, like how did you feel about being in the corporate world? Was being in the corporate world something you wanted to do or you wanted to stay doing, or how kind of was that, and how kind of was that transition to like freelancing and then kind of building your full-on business?
So I think what led me into freelancing was getting laid off.
Mm,
So when I left education and got into corporate because I had my son, and being part-time faculty and full-time staff, it was burning me out and the pay just wasn't there. So I left to go into corporate. I didn't really know what I was going to do in corporate, but I ended up landing in as an executive assistant for a president for one of the largest title insurance companies. She was great. She was like the best transition I could have ever had getting into corporate America.
yeah.
And while I was in that role, that's kind of when I was introduced into more project work. And she gave me those opportunities to really have the visibility of what that would look like. And that's how I realized, like, okay, that's what you're good at, project management. Like, let's figure this thing out. Um, when my husband got his job, we relocated, so I had to leave my job. And then being in the new city and getting a new job and then getting laid off, I was like, okay, I don't want to put my life in someone else's hands anymore. Like,
Mhm.
I have to figure this out because I know what I can provide to people, to small business owners, to um, state, local government. Like, I know the skill set that I have and
Yeah.
I know what I can provide, but how do I do that? And so that's when I got introduced to Upwork. Upwork kind of introduced me into that space of like selling myself, so to speak.
Mhm.
And being in there at first, I was just taking everything. I was just whatever people reached out and offered me, I took it. And over time, you realize like not all money is good money. You really, you really want to narrow it down to what you want to focus on and demonstrate how you add value that way. And doing so is how I got introduced to subcontracting, because I ended up getting a project coordinator opportunity, and realized like, okay, I'm subcontracting because she's getting the contracts. I'm on her
Mhm.
team. So what does that look like for myself? Um, and so I always just say, like, keep something for yourself. Like, I just, especially this economy and the environment that we're in now, and I'm just going to be transparent on this podcast. Being a woman of color,
Mm-hmm.
you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You have to have options.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyone who is thinking about it, I would say jump off the porch and put yourself out there because you have to have options.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Like, I talk about all the time, like, that I was the queen of side hustles. I still am. Like, I was talking with one of my friends the other day, and we basically, so, I have the public health club. I also have my consulting business too, that I'm like, okay, I just got a new client. I actually have a pitch coming up for another client. And then I was talking to my friend, and she was just like, how are you doing all this? And then I don't know, something in my head was just like, dang, I gotta finish grading this student paper. And she was like, and you teaching still too? And I was like, yeah, but it's like, I try to make sure, like, I always tell myself to, like, I had to learn that, one, I have seasons of busyness. So like I
Mhm.
have certain seasons where I'm gonna be busier than others. So I had to like break it up like that. Like right now, I'm in a super busy season. But I know that after about like once November gets here, it's gonna be pretty lax until
Yeah,
like probably like February or so. Then it's like, okay, now I'm kind of ramping up again. And then after like summer is I'm planning for summer to be very relaxed for me. So like as you continue to grow, like I'm like, kind of trying to handle that burnout too as it comes with entrepreneurship. Like I know and with
hmm,
having a child,
of
like that's
course.
been like so a whole
Mhm.
thing. So, but like I think as you continue to grow, like you learn these strategies, you learn how to deal with things. But going back to what you said, like always kind of having a side hustle, like always having something. So even if you don't want to have a full-time business, like you don't want to
Mhm.
be in that, like you can literally start consulting on the side. Like that is how I started out. That's how so many people started out that I know that have even been in the course. Like we start out just doing this on the side. And even I know like some people are listening and I get the question all the time, like, can you consult while you are in the federal government? And the answer is yes. Like there are so many people with consulting businesses that work in the federal government. The only caveat is that you just cannot accept any federal funds, but there are so many nonprofits out there and other companies that give out money, and it's an abundance of work out there. But I think like you said, having that side hustle, that's like we've seen all the things that have happened this year in like just the public health space and the employment space in general. So it's a lot of uncertainty that's up there. So I always recommend people to build something for themselves, whether it's just a little side hustle. And I tell people, like my little side hustle, the first year of me doing my little side hustle made over $130,000. So I'm like, this is big business over here.
I need to reevaluate my life. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And
Mhm.
oh, I wanted to ask, do you mind sharing? So how much or around how much was like your first contract?
So it was like about like 8,000. But
Mm.
the contract that they reached out to, the RFP that they reached out to me about was like four times that amount.
Ooh, yes.
So I was like, okay, I'll take that. So it's great. Like, and that was the thing at first. And I remember you saying this in the subcontracting series, and it was like, it doesn't matter the amount of money, just win like that first contract. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you see all these large amounts on these RFPs, and you really want that money so bad, but it could take the smallest ones that you win, that you build your portfolio off of, that get you the larger amounts.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think too, like I've taken some, like, my first contract was like 40K, but I've definitely since then I've done some that have been smaller. I think the smallest one I've done was maybe like 4K. I
Mhm.
think that was like earlier this year, but that like helped me again to build my portfolio. And then also like, I always for me, like I have a capability statement, and we talk about developing that in the course. And then also like now one of the things, the newer things that I developed was like a media kit. So I do put like my partners in there, like the logos from my partner organization. So that shows your credibility. If we're thinking like with like a PR lens, like
Mhm.
having all of these different partners that you have had contracts with, you've worked with, that is a testament to your credibility. And other organizations see that, and they're not asking, how much was this contract? You just tell them what you did and who you partnered with. So you're talking
Mhm.
about the value of what you did, not the amount of what you did. So definitely, like, I love that. Like, don't stress about how much it is. Go for it and like build up your credibility, because I think that's big. And I guess like, the last question that I want to ask you, what would you say to someone who is just on the fence about joining the course?
My first thing is pray over it, because make sure that whatever you're deciding to do is what God wants you to do.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I felt like getting into this, I prayed on just, God, if this is the space I'm supposed to be in, let me know. And things have just been flowing. And I just, sometimes I look around and I'm just like, okay, okay, I see what you're doing. Like, okay, I'm not going to try to control it anymore. I'm just going to allow it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are ready to like make that transition, join it, because you take it from a beginning introductory level, and they can really just focus on just establishing, the business aspect of it, and then
Mm-hmm.
taking the time to really identify those skill sets that they want to really step into the space with, and how to really develop your LinkedIn, and
Mm-hmm.
what to really pay attention to, and partner. Like, I felt like you touched on so many different topics within the course that even if you know nothing about the space, you end up learning enough to navigate in it. And not only that, I said the value of it really is the community.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think that's big, like who you're around, if everybody around you is building businesses, they're trying to get contracts, it's inevitable for you to get there too. So definitely always take a check of who's around you, who's in your circles, and who you're letting pour into you. Because that matters. That matters so much. So also Cliche, the last thing is, can you let people know like where can they find you if they want to utilize your services? Where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Clishe Larke on LinkedIn. You can catch LC Business Services on LinkedIn. You can go to my email, which is lcbiz, services.org. And you can also email support@lcbizservices.org. Like, we're trying to become more visible, so you'll see more
Yeah.
of us around. But yeah, definitely reach out, connect, just follow, all of the above.
Nice. And I will link everything below so people can check you out. But Cliche, I think this has been amazing. And I just want to say thank you again for agreeing to come on the podcast and just share your experience. And I hope that I feel like this was such a great conversation. And I hope that this helps people, not only just make that decision, but also know that they can do this. Like, it's not rocket science. As long as you get like a blueprint, you get like, you have people around you to cheer you on, you can do it. But
And I just want to say thank you, because you've created this space for all of us to be in. So you're doing a great job. And I just wish many blessings on you, because you're doing a great job.
thank you. That means so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But all right, I just want to say thank you again, and thank you to everybody listening. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day.